Welcome to week. This week there are going to be 6 lectures. They're going to be shorter than the usual lectures. There are 2 on each of the composers we're going to be studying this week. One on the life of the composer and the other on the music of that composer. All of the listening examples are discussed in the lectures on that particular composer's music. These listening examples are not numbered, and I've provided links to both the entire piece and to the separate movements. Sometimes you are required to listen to only a specific movement. In that case, I have specifically told you which movements you're required to listen to, and then provided the full piece of music only for your listening pleasure. In some cases, you are required to listen to the full symphony or the full concerto. Please make sure you do so. It's not that much more listening time, and it's going to give you a great idea of the musical style of the period and of these genres and how they actually function as popular music. So listen to the lecture on the life of the composer. Listen to the lecture. The idea this week is to spend more time listening and enjoying the music rather than watching lectures. So I've tried to keep them really short, like I said. Most of them will be under 10 minutes in length, and we'll just give you a basic outline of who the composer was, or a basic outline of what his musical style was and how these pieces were written. Please listen to all the required pieces. I want to really emphasize that because I know how easy it is to just kind of skip through the movements of music because they might be boring the first time around. But if you really take the time to listen and enjoy this music, you're going to better understand these composers, the forms that were used, and the first styles of popular music. Again, this week, there are a few different things happening with your assignment in your GDB. The group discussion board is actually an open topic this week. I've simply posed a question asking you to listen to the music that required for this week and talk about how it affects you. What is it about the music that reaches out to you? Do you actually hear any characteristics of the forms? And does that matter? I want you to be talking about the music you're listening to because I want you thinking about the music you're listening to. The group discussion board is really going to serve this week as your real assignment for the week because it's in response to the materials for this week only. The assignment is not going to really address only this week. Instead, it's going to act as a review exam for you, and that should help you focus in on what you need to learn for the actual exam, which is next week. Remember that the exam is open this next week from Sunday to Sunday. Please study well before you take it, and remember you must take just a few words on the exam so that you all really know what's going to be on there. It's going to cover all the material from the lectures, the textbook, and the listening examples from weeks 3 through 7, which covered the Baroque music period and the classical music period. There are review sections in your text on page 148 and page 200 for these 2 periods of music. Use these to guide you in your studying. They cover all the vocabulary words, the basic style, and the basic characteristics and how they use the elements during these periods of music. It is possible there will be questions on the exam that cover vocabulary or concepts from the book that were not discussed in your lectures. So please reread the chapters before you take the exam. I know this music is kind of hard to listen to sometimes, and it's hard to understand if you have no history with this type of music. So I've tried to make the exam approachable. In other words, I've tried to create questions that you should be able to understand very well and very easily as long as you have studied the characteristics of the period, the lives of the composers we've talked about, you know the form and the composer of each listening example, and you know the new vocabulary we've discussed. It's basic materials, and it's a decently basic test on that. So as long as you study well and use the study guides that are provided for you and use this particular assignment that's created as a review test to help you realize what types of questions I'll be asking, you should do just fine. At this point, I want you to move on to the lectures for the week. Get through them quickly, but please pay attention to them, and then read the materials in the book so that you really understand the details of these people's lives and how their music changed throughout the classical period